And we're live for another edition of Auditory Osmosis with your hosts, Nick Ritter and Ether Hawkins. What's going on, man?
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another dollar.
You know.
What is that Big E's motto? More money, more problems.
I think wasn't that Jay-Z?
Or
is that 99 problems but a bitch ain't one? I know that was one.
that's Jay-Z's motto, 99 problems.
I think that was a lot of people.
I think it was Biggie.
Okay, we're going to stick with Biggie. Somebody correct us if we're wrong. Please correct us if we're wrong.
It was Biggie in 1994. Album no.
Clean. You're right.
So, anything new happened to you today?
New?
Yeah. Anything exciting?
Exciting, I guess. The sky looked really cool on the way home from, a long.
It never really did storm.
No, it was weird. It just kind of looked really cool.
Because
who knows? It might hit us.
When I was talking yesterday, I was all about that storm. I was getting my tomatoes prepared, and that storm
getting your plants ready.
It never rolled in.
It did, but it rolled over.
Man, and yesterday we were really all over the place with what is consciousness?
Yeah, well, we should probably have a correction 10 minutes or something. Maybe something.
Yeah,
we can
that's good.
On or fix.
Yeah, you know what I did in last night's broadcast, and I kind of feel like an ass wagon.
That word, that phrase.
Yeah.
Ass wagon, pretty cool.
Yeah, I really felt like a mop head. An ass wagon.
Okay, explain.
I was trying to make a joke, but it didn't work, and I never went to capitalize on the joke. So it sounded like I was just completely incoherent when I was saying, okay, remember when I was talking about Socrates?
Yep.
And I never really went around to explaining the joke, and I was actually talking about Rene Descartes. And the joke was, and you came in, you're like, "What? Why are you bringing Socrates into this, man?" And I was using D as in Descartes' philosophy was the D Socrates, but I never actually explained it, so it sounded like I was talking about an unknown philosopher. D Socrates. So I want to clarify, and that was completely incoherent last night because I never had a chance to kind of tighten up the joke, and we kept rolling on, moving forward. And then it got, usually in radio, you make a mistake. In the internet radio, it's different. If you make a mistake on air, sure, somebody could be recording it, but usually that's gone in the memory hole of radio and the ether, lost in the ether.
Lost in the ether, but found because of Mr. Ether.
And because we have instant archive of every live broadcast we're doing through this.
I'm putting in a dip. You heard that. Copenhagen Long Cut. Please, Copenhagen City.
Nice plug. We probably have to thank Google once again for providing a platform. The Goo Goo Gaga Google.
Gonna say who you're talking about?
They're always they're like the big brother I wish I had.
You kind of never wish you had a big brother ever, especially you wish you would never have to experience the term.
Well, I think Google fills that void for me. They represent everything I'd expect out of Big Brother or sorry, a big brother.
They're nice. They kind of like hold you up when you've had a hard day.
Yeah, when you're feeling down and when you got those your brain farts.
Those
Some people have brain farts all day, and luckily Google's there to like clean up the mess.
Is that what I smelled today on you? Brain farts? And
Yeah, it's just lots of I was constantly just membranes were just shitting out my ears. Continuous gastrointestine problems.
Wow, sir, do you have any proof to back all this information up?
No.
Oh.
But you know what I did see? And I wanted to talk about, well, is there anything you wanted to clarify from last night's broadcast? I mean, we went from like the sun to I was ragging on Elon Musk for being a closet elite and I couldn't prove it. So I was just going off of, I was just accusing, making accusations.
How about I just give you some of my fight picks for this weekend, for tomorrow night.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So I think, first and foremost, I think Ben Rothwell's going to win. He's going to take out Bisping probably in the first or second round. Rothwell's a beast.
Now, off the top of your head, can you recite their records?
No.
Okay.
I could tell you that Ben Rothwell has...
You're of no use to us, Mr. Ritter. You need to learn those records.
He's definitely going to win. Absolutely. Dude. He's a badass. Did I say Ben Rothwell?
I believe you did.
Yeah, I'm stupid. Absolutely wrong. Luke Rockhold. I don't know. I got the names fucked up. So
you weren't talking about Descartes?
No, he's later. No. So it's Luke Rockhold's gonna beat Bisping. I think Uriah Faber is gonna beat. I think he's gonna become the new champion over Cruz. My boy, one of my favorite fighters right now, Brian T. City Ortega, is taking on Clay Guido. I hope he takes out Guido. He's such a badass in jiu-jitsu. He's just a bad motherfucker. Hendo's fighting, which is Dan Henderson. He's taken on a much younger person and kind of I think he's coming off of a PED, got caught with PEDs, so he's finally coming back right now. Who he's fighting is Lombard. That's coming back.
What's a PED?
A performance enhancing drug.
Oh, okay. So it's an acronym.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. Yep. And then one of my other favorite fighters, which I like him a lot, Dustin Poirier, Dustin the Diamond Poirier, is taking on.
Now, how do you get that nickname? How do these fighters come up with their show names?
He's I don't know. Usually they don't come up with their own names. They are given those names. You don't
by their fighting styles and their
I think
different skills.
I think he's calling himself Diamond in the Rough, but I don't know. They found a diamond in the rough. He's a badass. I like him a lot. He's from I think he's from like I know he's from Louisiana. I just can't remember if it's New Orleans or I don't think it's New Orleans. But anyway, he's a badass. I like him a lot. I don't know if he'll win because I don't really know the guy he's fighting. Which is Bobby King Green. So those are my picks, and hold me to them. Last week I killed.
Well, we'll see if you'll match that all for, but what, 2?
Yeah, it was.
Is that an all-time?
I put it on. I put it on paper. There was 10. I think there was 10 fights, and I called all of them but 2. Last week.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive.
I mean, even I got the 2 biggest underdog wins too. Just going with my people. So
Man, I'm telling you, you should get into the ring of professional sport gambling.
I want to be a bookie, Mr. Hawkins.
There you are.
I'm going to be a bookie.
There you be, boy.
You know why? Because the house always wins. So.
But yeah, I saw a few interesting little articles we could share with the listeners here.
Go on.
Get
We're
your,
done. We're
your
done.
opinions.
We don't have any more corrections or any more exaggerations.
I can't think of any more corrections that
All right, let's
come to
move on.
mind. I was
Moving on.
all right. Navy researchers develop Iron Man style in helmet HUD heads up display for divers. What are your thoughts on that?
Again,
Basically,
like I
it's
thought
an
about.
augmented reality for their helmet.
Yeah. Again, kind of like what I said about DNA and like what's creating
Baby steps.
basically, no. What I'm saying is, I thought we already had this. I mean, we have heads-up displays that are so badass in some of these helicopters and stuff like that. I guess
Right.
the next place to get it is underwater. What are we gonna fight wars underwater now too? It's crazy, dude. But
Naval surface warfare.
But excuse me, I burped. What good is that? To be completely honest, is it going to be on outside of submarines at one point? Because a person's not going to be able to go down still more than I don't know how many feet, but
They want to get miniature sonar built into the helmet. So each diver is like a submarine kind of.
right.
So it's just kind of miniaturization of stuff we have, making mobility underwater more efficient and more friendly for reconnaissance.
Right. Well, what's really cool is I can't remember what the system is that they're starting to use now, but it's basically like video games. Okay, so they can look on their little display on their wrist, which is basically, we'll say, an iPhone for lack of a better term. Okay, and they look at their wrist, and everybody that's wearing this, I can't remember what it's called, but they're wearing this system. Okay. And this system basically tracks them like a video game. So you can see all the guys that or that are friendly. And then people can call out and mark on their little GPS or whatever where the bad guys are. So you can have a real-time mini map, basically.
A first-person shooter mini map, and you're a real heads-up display, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Well, going off of that, I think it was Samsung. They released, because these wearable technologies and these applications, like VR. I actually have 2 points on VR, but what I was gonna get at is a wrist that helps you track your cardio exercises. And it also serves as a GPS, tracking your routes and like all that stuff. So more and more we're getting these individualized GPS devices. And once again, miniaturized versions of technology that is commonplace in our vehicles. And
no, it's crazy right now. Okay, so I'm interrupting, but Dennis, I'm sorry, we'll say Duty. So Duty,
coworker.
Yeah, coworker. He'll get into his car. His car knows what he's doing. Like, it'll ask him. So anybody with the Ford, I think, Sync or whatever it's called, I think that's exactly what it's called. But it goes, oh, hello, Dennis, on your way to work, and it'll automatically like set GPS or it's crazy what it's.
So it's that vehicle from Knight Rider.
Okay, this is cool. Kit, yeah, that was one of my shows. Kit was a bad mother.
And our coworker is driving that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, okay, so it says it in text. It doesn't really say it out loud, but it's still saying it to you on your little display.
And that's the thing with these artificial intelligences, like Siri and Cortana, Microsoft using the Halo artificial intelligence in the video game series Halo. And let me just mention this before I move on with this artificial intelligence and voice. Paul McCartney embraces virtual reality to recall the Beatles' best recordings. Paul McCartney VR, a joint project with virtual reality app Jaunt, puts viewers in the room with him as he tells the stories behind some of his best-known songs.
Didn't I tell you this?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
How one day there will be a specially reserved seat at like Conan O'Brien or any talk show or any music event.
It's an infinite amount of seats, and you can audit.
Well, this will be the new pay-per-view.
Right.
You will put on your VR and infinite, like you say, because it's just a motion capture. And anybody who pays to view will be put into these motion capture sets, and they will be participating like someone in that audience. So This is kind of what you were talking about already here. Just not commercialized. This is a independent project.
Well, I've seen some of them. Okay, so like you can walk into this bar. All right, you put your VR on, you're in this bar, and there's a guy playing piano. The servers are doing their thing, serving drinks, and the bartenders are shaking their martinis. And you can walk around and see every angle of everything. There's the piano guy smoking a cigarette. You can see the smoke coming off.
The 360-degree videos.
It's just.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but these are those rooms that people are gonna have later that you can. I mean, think about it. You can walk into a full house and you want to sit down. Guess what? Through the magic of computers, one chair opens up wherever you want to sit.
Well, and going off of how Knight Rider was a real voice and Siri and Cortana, do you think in the future, when you've played role-playing video games like Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and Fallout, and those type of video games where you're playing a character and you have dialogue exchanges with the CPUs.
Yep.
Well, doesn't it make sense that once the artificial intelligence reaches a certain level, you are going to be doing virtual reality simulations and you will be walking up to the CPUs and they will have Siri-like capabilities to do dialogue exchanges in real time with your VR. So instead of getting a scripted list of choices, you will have a real interaction with an artificial intelligence in your video game.
Yeah. Or yeah, because it's not that person's not going to be there all the time, but it could be that person too.
Well, that's just it. Like once artificial intelligence can have conversations with us, and I'm pointing again to Siri and all these service applications by the top tech companies. That is going to be in a lot of things. I don't know how I feel about it, but you know how you already get automated systems when you go to customer service? Well, eventually you're just going to be talking to Siri. And
I feel like that's better than fucking pushing 2.
Not only that, but going... I love these automated... It feels like you're stuck in the 70s when you call into one of these.
It picks up everything sometimes, and sometimes it picks up nothing. Sorry, keep going.
Well, and they always go, press 1 for more options.
Press
or blah, blah, blah.
That's my
and then
favorite.
you're like, 2. And then it always goes, can you repeat that?
No,
and
I always...
Like, 2.
I always put it on speakerphone and mute when I have to deal with that shit.
Well, then you find yourself going, what am I doing? Why am I yelling 2 at this computer that can't understand me?
Right.
So yeah, you're probably right. Having something like Siri that could actually understand you,
Yeah.
and maybe even comfort you. She'll be like, I didn't hear that. Are you having a bad day?
we
Please
all
tell me
know.
everything.
We all know this fucking elevator hold music is terrible. Please. But my favorite thing is like when you're trying. All right, you're trying to get a hold of your buddy, right? And your phone's about to die or something. Okay, and you call your buddy and he doesn't pick up, but you have to go to voicemail, and it says, "Yo, it's so and so, and leave a message after the beep," and then it says, "After the message, press 1 to repeat, or press 2 to hear it again, or press 3 to start a new message, or press 4 to just go," or whatever, whatever. It just, you have to hear 15 options, or anyway,
Yeah, before you can.
4 or 5 options anyway. That's stupid. Why should you have to hear all this? I just want to leave a message and hang up.
Right. Well, you want the computer to anticipate your needs, and that's where we're going. So you're gonna be finding yourself in Elysium,
Already?
the
Because of
heaven.
the
Well, no, I'm just saying. Since last night we established that Elysium means heaven, you're gonna find your personal happiness through these computers that anticipate your needs.
I'm already in my personal. I found my personal happiness. Couldn't tell you exactly what it is. It's a little column A, little column B, but
I can tell you where I found my personal happiness. It's in the stripes and stars, one of the best countries in the world, America. And don't get me started on the rights. And, the rights of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, those rights are inalienable.
they're the best rats that you can have, right?
And they're natural God-given rights. See, I think America's my Elysium, but
America?
that's just me.
Then why does Mr. Hawkins want to leave as soon as he can? No, I'm just kidding. You're not one of those people.
No, I'm here to the very end.
I flew the Stars and Stripes for a long time. Man, if this place goes to shit, it's either get out or just dig out. You know what I mean?
Well, remember, America in its essence is an idea. So as long as you keep that in your heart,
America.
and you're going to be judged on this when you cross over, you're going to stand You're going to stand before the White House gate.
Yo,
and George Washington is going to be standing there judging you with a Masonic sword, and his all-piercing eye of knowledge is protruding. It's his third eye, and it's blooming like a spike, and then it goes into your brain, and it reads all your thoughts. And if you had any anti-American sentiment, you're going to hell.
I don't. Well, we share a birthday, so me and George Washington actually have the same birthday. So
Nick, I'm just trying to save your soul.
He wouldn't do that to me. All right, and you're telling me that George Washington's sitting next to St. Peter at them gates, but the gates actually leading to the White House?
Yes. The pearly gates, that's
those gates that now are guarded by.
Well, no, to me, most people dream in black and white, so they kind of just said pearly gates because they were shiny, but they kind of neglected to see the red, white, and blue everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. It's just very bright.
That's what I want the listeners to keep America in its essence in your heart. It's a form of not only faith, and not only is it a lifestyle, but if you want to make your way past those gates and enter Elysium and not burn eternally in hell, then no, I'm completely serious here. You need to take a class on American history. You need to maybe serve some time with our military and exercise your rights, and make sure that the creator deity, Mr. Washington, knows that in your heart, America It is on fire, and it's coursing. The ichor of America, the divine blood, is coursing through your veins.
I thought you were gonna keep going with your speech while
No, that was just beautiful, though. A nice little exit.
America.
So
America.
scientists find form of CRISPR gene editing with new capabilities. This just came out. It's funny, we were talking about genome editing, and now just like 8 hours ago, okay, just a few years ago, CRISPR, and I think that's what it's called. Somebody would have to look into this.
No, it is CRISPR. You're absolutely right.
Was a cipher, something that sounded to most ears like a device for keeping lettuce fresh. Today, CRISPR and it looks like Cas9.
Okay.
It's CRISPR-Cas9 is widely known as a powerful way to edit genes. Scientists are deploying it in promising experiments, and a number of companies are already using it to develop drugs to treat conditions ranging from cancer to sickle cell anemia.
Okay, so where did this start? And who is the doctor behind it?
Do you know? Because I just found out about this.
Well, is it from Germany?
Let's see. Let's read on. This article is from New York Times.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Who's the doctor? Or
well, I'm sure we'll get. I have to kind of burn through a few paragraphs to get these answers. Yet there is still a lot of misunderstanding around it. Remember, we don't script or have teleprompters here, so I stumbled upon this and I felt like I had to share it with the listeners. CRISPR describes a series of DNA sequences discovered in microbes, part of a system to defend against attacking viruses. Microbes make thousands of forms of CRISPR, most of which are just starting to be investigated by scientists. If they can be harnessed, some may bring changes to medicine that we can barely imagine. On Thursday, in the Journal of Science, researchers demonstrated just how much is left to discover. They found that an ordinary mouth bacterium makes a form of CRISPR that breaks apart not DNA, but RNA. The molecular... Say that again.
What is RNA?
You can tell the listeners if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to keep reading.
The messenger. DNA. What is it? Reoxyribonucleic acid? Is that right?
It is, yes.
I think that's right.
Exactly.
I don't want
to... Yeah, and it's the principal role as a messenger, and it carries all the instructions. Like DNA, it has all the coding, but RNA is like the carry, like the channel.
It delivers messages.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so CRISPR that breaks apart not DNA but RNA, the molecular messenger used by cells to turn genes into proteins. If scientists can get this process to work in human cells, they may open up a new front in gene engineering, gaining the ability to precisely adjust the proteins in cells, for instance, or target cancer cells.
Do you see what they're doing?
Yes, they want to use these channelers or the messengers to reroute the messages and fight the because cancer cells are cells that have rapidly grown, they rapidly grow, and if you can target or instruct those cells to not rapidly grow with the RNA, then you can fight it at its root.
Right.
Is that what you thought? Because that's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, I think they're. I'm not sure if they're. I think you thought a little bit further than I did when you said they're rerouting they're
rerouting the messages, basically.
Yeah, right. But what they're doing is so you've had a taco, right?
I've had many tacos.
So, have you ever heard of a deconstructed taco?
No.
Or any type of deconstructed food at all? Well, anyway, basically what they're doing is
Is this like molecular gastronomy? Is that the
what they do is they
discipline of that?
you just like put all of the ingredients on yourself, and you just put like say we'll do a deconstructed nacho. You put a chip on a plate that's really nice, really good chip or five, like a special type of chip. You put some meat, you put a little dollop of some cream, like sour cream or something, but it's all deconstructed. Basically, what they're doing is they're starting with the whole and breaking down the proteins to see what proteins make up what genes. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of. Keep going.
So they're working backwards. They're starting with the final product, but what they're
Right.
doing
And
is
they're following process.
exactly they're seeing how it breaks down or what proteins are delivered through the process of breaking down. And so they know exactly what types of proteins your body's going to need and where it's going to need it. And if you have like a cancer or a sickness, they know where to fight it because they just add this other protein or two to back up the other proteins to fight the sickness.
And it seems like with the internet, we share and do peer research across the board with all our universities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to finish off. This is actually a fairly long article. I just wanted to get your opinion and throw my 2 cents in on it. But I think California, MIT, Australia, and some European universities and professors and students, they're all collaborating on this.
Right. Well, there's so much stuff going on right now with genome and like, what's the guy's name? He's bearded, he's British, and he wants to live forever.
Noel, there's a few. Are you talking about? There was a movie on Netflix, and they were seeking immortality. I didn't watch it, but
actually, yeah, I think he was on a Netflix movie. But basically, he wants to live forever, and
right, he's obsessed with his ego, and yeah,
it's just, but they're it's weird how they're figuring out all this shit to maybe be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like on the cellular level, what he's trying to do is make your cells regenerate faster than they die.
right. And in the show Mr. Nobody, if anybody has seen that movie, it's the perspective of the last mortal because they've already achieved all that stuff.
Right.
But then at the end of the movie, the universe stops expanding and it goes through the crunch.
Yeah.
So all of our progress becomes deconstructed. So really, there was no progress, just a circle.
Oh, everything's full circle. I don't think I got to touch on that the other night. I was going to talk about the Big Bang. Just
all right.
Come back to that, or come back.
Well, you know what? I have a segue. I have a segue into this.
All right, cool.
Surprise! This is just an article heading. Surprise! The universe is expanding faster than scientists thought.
Yeah.
Hubble Space Telescope has gathered this new opinion.
Right. Well, they've actually seen this for at least 10 years now.
Now, is the universe, when I think about the Big Bang and where we are today, is it true that the universe is kind of like spiraling, everything's spiraling, right? And as it expands, the spiral kind of spins faster.
Well,
and there's kind of a quickening to the whole process of the expansion because they're saying now that it's speeding up fairly fast.
Okay, so the thing is where we're at in our universe, we're on like the outer, kind of like maybe not the outer edges, but where we would be would, especially because of the fact that things don't slow down in space, right?
Right.
So which we'll get back to what I think the Big Bang may or may not been, but when this Big Bang happened, everything everything has to go outwards from an explosion. Am I wrong? It doesn't go inwards.
All observable evidence points to that, sure.
Right. So
But implosion does exist.
implosion does exist, but it breeds other things.
Right.
In space, not on land, we'll say. But so back to what I think. Okay, so if everything's expanding and some things got shot out faster, and in the beginning things got shot out before other things, so they would be traveling faster, right?
Okay.
So do you think we're in one single universe, or do you think there's, this quantum theory?
Well, definitely, like I was talking about last night, everything we can observe is like the epidermis, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think at a quantum level or whatever is past that,
Well,
there's this definition of like math doesn't work right to define it. Our known mathematical knowledge can't penetrate this veil because we're working with planetary math and we don't understand.
You know what I want to do, honestly? I want to hook up with Elon, all right? And I want to do all these questions, but I want to do them all in space. Everything that we need to know, I want to know it in space.
Well, you know what I always think about in space and whatnot? There's 2 points I'd like to make. One is going back to the universe spinning up faster. Everything that happens here on the planet, like astrophysics and everything outside of the planet, is conducive to the geography here on Earth. Like the rotation and distance of all the planets and the gravitational pulls, and when comets and meteors pass, all of that has an impact on the way we behave. Like lunar cycles are connected to the a woman's period, and the oceans and our atmospheric layers all respond to the astrophysics, right? So if the universe is spinning up, do you think that has anything to do with like human progress and inventions? Like if the universe was starting to go and move faster at a quantum level, do you think...
Are you saying universe by like the Milky Way galaxy, or are you...
I'm talking about everything in the universe,
right,
even our galaxy and outward.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff we don't even like see or understand that is influencing us here on the planet. Do you think if the universe, the whole thing is quote unquote speeding up, does that translate into like we are making more progress faster? And it has nothing to do with the relativity of time and space. It has everything to do with all of the inner workings of things we can't see in the universe. You get what I'm saying?
No, I do.
As the universe expands and moves faster, we invent faster.
Yeah, our exponential growth.
Yes.
See, that might be a good question, but...
And it could be a really stimulating theory, and maybe people have been working on that.
Yeah. Well, I think... Again,
what is human discovery, and what influences that? It has to be something outside of the planet must influence that.
Oh, definitely. But again, you have to be one of those people that looks up at night and is like, what the fuck is that? Rather than, oh, there's no clouds. It's not raining. Good.
And in their defense, the cityscapes, the concrete jungles, the light pollution, it's hard for people to look up and really see the stars.
It's never... I mean, that's why Charlie hid in the trees. Okay? Because nobody looks up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but everybody's looking... Now everybody's looking down at their little fucking right hand or their little cell phones, man. I hate it.
Well, what amazes you about space? Like, what if you did get a chance to go up with SpaceX and get answers, or propose questions, what were your questions be, and what are you looking for? What are the answers you'd like to receive?
Well, I mean, we kind of know plant growth. We kind of know that things can still grow in zero gravity, but we also kind of know that um, things grow faster in space. Am I wrong about that?
I would have to
These are
check
some,
some sources because
yeah,
I haven't really looked into that.
these are conclusions I may have jumped to too quickly, but I feel like um, there's so many things that we can actually benefit in space rather than doing them just here.
Right.
But again, this is all about the people on the Earth trying to, and this goes back to the technology growing faster because everybody wants to live, basically, is what we're getting to. And
It's all about immortality.
well, people don't want to look at immortality as them dying off and them having family to look at their name or to hold their name. You know what I mean? Half the time, they want to live forever.
Isn't that kind of just a selfish, ego-driven want,
Oh,
desire?
it's kind of a weird thing. Would you want to live till you're 275
You know,
if you weren't a vampire, like a badass vampire?
well, before we get into this discussion, what's your opinion on how music is such a unique product of planet Earth?
Okay, so I've heard a lot of theories, and I know that, well, from what I've seen and what plants in particular, they do respond to music. Okay.
Right.
Humans
That's true.
absolutely respond to music, right?
Can change moods, it has a physiological effect on us as it does with plants.
But the craziest theory I've heard about it is the reason it affects us so much is because we're made of water.
And we vibrate with it.
And these vibrations get in our body, like not just in our ears, and we don't
make us feel good.
Yeah, but it gets almost every sense. Okay, and it even invokes taste sometimes when you can relate that to a certain time you had a dinner and heard this song, and you know what I mean?
Right. And when I look at reverberation and quantum mechanics, do you think there really is something to people being sensitive to vibratory patterns and being sensitive to what they perceive as negative energy or positive energy? And I'm not talking about the new age, like, you're giving me bad vibes, man.
No, like
I'm talking about real hard scientific evidence that we experience physiological changes, and the vibratory patterns have everything to do with that.
Yeah, and some, I guess, well, people can see these patterns or the hardcore music, we'll say, like death metal. Some people see that as just too many things going on at one time, right?
Right.
But people that like that shit, they can break that shit. They can break it down in their head and hear it all differently than a person that like when I hated country music, I literally would not even listen to it. But it started, I don't know, two main bands really changing my mind about it, but it made it easier to hear and like want to honestly feel that country music rather than just hear it.
Well, and at the end of the day, everything is music. And it's all like when you hear someone who's mastered an art or a craft, like cooking is music or martial arts is music. Right. Well, when you break it down, the math behind a musical note, that has a translation to a move that you mastered in Taekwondo. The vibrations and the interactions of matter and the reverberation kind of makes this whole world a symphony, an orchestra, a moving, a poetic play that we all are programming and we're involved in.
Well, it's another way to look at life. Honestly, it's a different viewpoint, and it can be monotonous.
But yet melodic.
Melodic. It can be dark and dreary and happy at the same time. Like I was thinking about this today at work. Okay, so I was sitting there and I was cutting tomatoes. I was making a bruschetta topping, like basically just tomatoes and basil and a little balsamic vinegar. Anyway, so I was cutting these tomatoes and I was making because I just cut.
Before you go on with this, I want to call this little segment Internal Narration with Nick Ritter.
Yeah, let's do this. All right, so I was cutting my tomatoes, and it kind of makes like a boom, 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 boom. Then I get the next tomato, boom, 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 boom. And then I hear Baker, she throws something down on the baking station, which is basically a big wooden station, so she can do all her doughs and stuff. She throws this dough on there, makes a big boom, and then I'm going boom, 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 boom. She goes boom, and then I hear my hydro technician. He does this. He slides the plates into the dishwasher, and when he does that, it makes like a the sound of the cymbals. It makes kind of a cymbal sound, like
right.
Ching. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And at the same time, you hear the ching and the boom. It's like a I don't know, but
it's poetry in motion, and it's like you're dancing with your coworkers.
No, it absolutely is. So that's the beginning. So you hear all these beats and these sounds, and they kind of like put you in this mode, right? Well, you can kind of lose yourself in these sounds, all right, and you can keep doing what you're doing at work, and you're cutting your tomatoes, and then what you start hearing is everybody else's shit, and then it's just crazy how it can definitely affect the mood of people just by hearing some of those sounds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and meanwhile, these individuals, there's a collective response going on, but they're also imposing their own feelings on what they are translating. So the relative translation of the moment is something entirely subjective, but yet if you try to impose the objective reality, you can tune down their subjective response to the objective happening, if you're following. What I'm saying is, if someone's in a really bad mood, that's them imposing their subjective reality on something that's actually rather objective.
Right.
And you just got to bring them back and be like, it's not that bad. And look, we're dancing. Mm-hmm. Metaphorically, metaphysically.
Right. Well, this is like the third time I've thought about making an all kitchen album, of course. And
the soundscapes with Nick Ritter.
It can literally be like instrumentals, but at the same time, it can be like the whole day. You can just record the sounds. And you could make a record every day. You could literally make a 15-track disc every day with just adding in little things here and there.
You can.
You honestly could.
And that's, sound engineers for like animated movies and video games, they'll go and my ear actually works like this a little bit, but they hear something that sounds like something else. So instead of going to find like let's say you have a science fiction vehicle in your animated film.
Okay.
There's no sound for that science fiction vehicle. So you go out into the everyday world and you find a sound that normal people don't hear often, and you record it, and you either increase the pitch and make it more noticeable, or you decrease, or you slow it. You manipulate the sound wave, and then it becomes an entirely new, innovative sound, and people then get to experience it as the science fiction vehicle in the animated movie. Is that what you're getting at? Like, you want to see the metaphors in the kitchen, all the sounds that are happening. You want to paint a picture for people that they can see.
Right. They all mean something, but what they mean to other people at one point in time can be completely different to like the next 10 minutes later. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and to put it into perspective with like a sound engineer, like if I wanted to get somebody pitter-pattering with their shoes and I didn't have anybody to record, I don't know how well my microphone will pick this up, but I could do something like this.
Right. You know what my favorite example ever
And that's
of
sound engineering.
You know what my favorite example ever of sound engineering is? It's the sound.
Please tell me.
The sound of the TIE fighter in Star Wars.
Oh, yes. George Lucas, he had some phenomenal sound engineering in the original Star Wars film.
It's like a growl and a screech at the same time. You know what that's from?
What?
Okay, so you know the telephone poles that are holding up our telephone wires and electronic wires or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have those steel cables that kind of hold them straight, and they hit a wrench against that steel cable and messed with that sound that came off of that cable, and
wow,
actually that's how they made a lot of like the sounds for the ships in Star Wars.
I love the iconic blaster sound, the like
the whole movie is just every movie is just super hype because you it starts out with the you know, like the Star Wars theme.
Right.
Oh my god. And then of course we used to serve the dark side cakes to the kids at the yacht club for their dinner, right?
And by dark side cakes he means they took little press patterns of Darth Vader, and I think you even had Yoda though, so
there was Darth Vader, Yoda, Stormtrooper.
So you get Star Wars cutouts for your pancakes for kids.
A TIE fighter and an X-wing also. Yeah, so
nice.
You could put these pancakes on, but we always did the Imperial March every time some kid ordered them. So we'd blast the Imperial March. This is back in the day with SG-1, Sir Gates.
The prototype, SG-1.
Dude, he really is the prototype. Every day I think,
what do you think they're gonna clone SG-2?
Oh, dude, he would probably be the perfect person to clone, just to see what the fuck happens.
Right. So yeah, you're serving these Imperial pancakes.
They're beautiful, but the sound and the smell and the kids hear this and they want it. You know, that's kind of why they used to order them all the time. It's just
a little dinner theater for the wee ones.
It's great, and they're the only ones that deserve it. at least we're
I see what you mean.
You know, but I've had this little kid that, you know, you get this little snotty. Most people would say it's a snotty kid with this fucking stupid order, but what their parents do is they're like, okay, son, you get to order your food tonight. But that kid worries about it the whole day, all right? He starts his day, he's like, what am I going to eat tonight? I have to come up with my own order. And the kid gets sauteed green beans with garlic and onions, and he gets like a half piece of walleye broiled, and then he gets mashed potatoes. But he knows what he wants, and his parents are teaching him to like
develop a palate.
Exactly.
Be sophisticated.
Not even
learn etiquette.
Well, not even any of that, but that's all part of it. But do things for yourself, and you get to think about what you want. If you want it, you can get it, but you have to find your way of getting it. And for this kid right now, it's just, hey, you have to know what you want for a vegetable.
I think I'm going to make a pop song called If You Want It, You Can Get It. And I think my album will be called Come Get It.
Come Get It?
Yeah.
So this could be part of our kitchen songs.
But no, so you encounter these kids that are slowly being indoctrinated into food snobbery.
Well,
but they want to be kids and they want to eat imperial pancakes. Is that what you're getting at?
well, it's just I don't know. The Imperial thing, that kind of just goes back with they want the sound, they want the feel, they want
Well, and sound is more than half of the production.
yeah, and they want everything along with that order. There's 2 pieces of bacon, there's maple syrup, there's Yoda, and they can make Yoda and Darth Vader fight because we never got to see that.
Right.
They could do it at their table, just like with the new what are they? Tater tots that are Tetris style. So what do we think?
Oh, I heard about this.
Pretty cool.
Well, explain to the listeners, because when I first heard it through the chef, I said, okay, tater tots for adults that want to play Tetris. That sounds like it's for little kids, but go on. Tell the listeners what Tetris tater tots are all about.
You could get really deep with this, but honestly, it is for kids. It's just so they can play with their food again, and it's they can build.
It seems like a bar food, though, like a bar food tactic.
Yeah, I mean that's a way to do it, but why would you want to grease your fingers all up?
Well, hey man, why?
I don't know. You're gonna order them anyway, so. But I feel like we could have contests. Like somebody gets to stand over there, and there's 2 people dropping the pieces and 2 people that have to, make the Tetris game without losing, right?
Okay.
Because so you're playing human Tetris, kind of like human Jenga. Like have you played life-size Jenga?
I've played with larger than normal blocks, but no, life-size, that's alien to me. However, one of my goals is to play life-size chess, where you have like a volleyball commander. In tennis and volleyball, the refs are sitting in those high chairs.
Yeah.
You got those guys who are calling the actual plays while human players are doing the chessboard. But yeah, so Tetris, life-size, how does it work with tater tots?
Well, we could have, again, so one person would be dropping it, like in Tetris, and the person would be sitting down making his Tetris board, and somebody would have to win and lose. It's stupid. It's kind of just a joke. It's a mental joke, or
it's a gag.
A visualization gag or joke. Yes. So.
And if you get bored, you're like, well, at least I still have tater tots, right?
Yeah. Please don't use ketchup. Well, I guess you can use ketchup if you really want to.
Ketchup is a bastard child of all the sauces.
I like how we went from universe Big Bang.
Well, we're going to go back to the universe.
Big Bang. I just wanted to say what I think the Big Bang is the different multiverses hitting together, and somehow matter hits between these multiverses, and that's where the Big Bang comes from. I don't know. That might be a little too far out there, but
no, I mean that's one side. The other side because there's 2 type of scientists: the creationists who believe that the Big Bang occurred, but it was a creator entity dissolving himself into billions of pieces, and then you have the we came from nothing matters scientists. Therefore, but where do you stand? Do you think that the Big Bang is what is the multiverse though? To me, it would make more sense, but then again, we would have more questions like what the hell created the creator deity or entity or programmer?
Because we don't have well, keep going, sorry.
Well, just the way consciousness interacts, it seems like all things that are conscious are little fragments of the bigger thing that is conscious. You know what I mean? To me, It makes sense that consciousness being unique because, we don't... Planets have electrical fields. They have a plus and minus, and they spin on these electrical fields and everything like that. But they're not conscious. Earth is like an organism. But what I'm getting at is if Earth was a creator conscious and just let's pretend whatever was before the Big Bang was like an Earth, and then Earth imploded, and all the creatures that were on Earth went out everywhere. That's kind of what I think the Big Bang was. Like, it was an implosion, like you say, of a multiverse, but it was a conscious multiverse at first. And now it's trying to find itself again as it goes out. Like,
As it evolves.
yes. As it evolves, it's trying to regain a single hive mind again, a single consciousness. It's going back full circle into itself, the snake eating its tail, the Ouroboros of life.
Isn't it crazy? We could go back to CERN and stuff like that, trying to find like the quirks. And quirks actually is a weird term to a lot of people because they've been raised on the nucleus, we'll just say the breakdown of the regular atom, the proton, electron, and neutron, right?
Right.
Well, then there's all these other things that make up, which not a lot of people understand, that make up the protons, electrons, and neutrons. And these are called quarks. They're smaller, are they nanoparticles? No, they're, what's the word? Help me out here, sir.
Well, I think I wrote a poem once called like Occupy Apocalypse. Okay. And I said like quicken quirks and quarks, because let's differentiate. What you're talking about, I believe, is the quarks. It's not a quirk. Quirk is like you're quirky. But in physics, a quark is kind of what you're talking about. It's one of the fundamental particles. And basically, a quark, kind of, they join together and they form like the protons and the neutrons.
Right. They're the building blocks to what we thought were the building blocks.
Right. And yeah, so yeah, that we do have different, and we're discovering new particles all the time through CERN.
This is what we were talking about with the God particle and
the Higgs boson.
The Higgs, yes. The Higgs.
So how does that work now? That's not actually the God particle. It was just a step closer to understanding what black or dark matter.
Well, no, the Higgs boson is what they were trying to find. It is supposedly the God particle, but
it wasn't the God particle.
It's the particle that makes things develop mass. So,
and it causes when different, because friction, that's excitement. If you are trying to talk about like physics and particles, that's just excitement, things rubbing up against each other. Is that what the Higgs boson does? Does it excite things?
The Higgs boson supposedly,
it's the life of the party.
No, it helps. Well, I guess maybe it's the glue. It's the glue that helps build the mass and like hold things. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't hold things together, but it helps everything start building.
Well, you're talking because subatomic.
Yes, this is subatomic level. Yeah.
Stuff we previously couldn't confirm with just our naked eye and microscopes and shit.
Yeah. Well, we honestly couldn't fathom this at first. We had no clue.
Well, I thought it like started to be tossed around in like the 60s or 70s.
Well, that's when they started to break down the atom.
That's still very new anyways.
So where did that start? Manhattan Project, correct?
Right.
But they were, instead of trying to figure out what everything was, they were trying to make a bomb.
Modern chemistry being the successor of alchemy, it's only like a century or two old.
Yeah,
if you really look at all of our modern advances. So going back to the universe expanding and quickening with its expansion, isn't it kind of strange how recently human invention has exponentially just increased and our populations have, and because it's a consequence of having breakthroughs in technology, your population can be sustained for a longer period of time and you can produce more and live longer. But That's what going back, like
Putting it all
you
together.
see it. Yeah. Well, do you see that parallel I'm trying to draw here? That maybe the universe expanding faster has something to do with the way our minds are developing in evolution. Like
Well,
we're at a subatomic or even below that.
no, I see what you're saying, but the thing is time is all relative, right?
Right.
And the feeling of time is definitely relative. So,
And the compilation might
yeah,
not have anything to do with the whole thing.
yeah. So when
The compilation of evolution, I mean.
yeah, and the faster, I guess what you're saying, the faster everything's expanding, the faster we're evolving, the faster we're trying to keep going. All right, but I just think the more that we start to learn, the more that we start to realize,
Compounds.
yeah, what's going on around us. The environment and the world and the universe doesn't give a shit about us, right? They don't give a fuck about us basic life forms living on some planet, because most of us think that there's other life forms living on other planets that aren't near as basic bitch as we are, right?
That may or may not be here or watching us.
But the universe doesn't give a fuck about them either.
Right.
So we have to try to keep up with the universe. So I guess that's a big, like, another circle that we just made is yes.
Yeah, but this is my problem with that view you were describing. You act as if here's the thing for me. We are the universe.
Right.
So
Well,
I don't think when you say the universe doesn't give a shit, I don't think it has feelings. I don't think it has any of the human properties we give to each other.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we're inseparable from it. So in a way, it actually cares a lot about us because we are it. You see what I'm saying?
Again, I'm speaking for for most people out there. A lot of the again, the way that people see their everyday life is a big depiction on how they see everything around them, though, too.
Well, in going into immortality and living forever, I think what you're saying, like when someone tries to draw a line between it's survival of me versus the universe, and the universe is a cold, dark, indifferent place, they're still forgetting that they are the universe. So when I hear someone say they want to live forever, I kind of think maybe the universe doesn't want you to live forever.
No, it can't. It can't. This is
And maybe this is how the universe operates, and you're inseparable from the universe, dude. And not you, but this whoever wants to become immortal. It's like they really think they're a separate entity, and they forget that they still are whatever the universe. Like they're the fabric. We're made out of everything we have is the universe.
It's their conscious ego trying to manipulate everything around them.
Well, it's like denial to me. They want to deny that they're separate. Like, I mean, not separate. They want to deny that they're connected at a fundamental level. In a basic principle, they are what they think is so separate. You know what I mean?
A lot of them are better than us, right?
Well, but we all serve our purpose, so I don't see why anybody would want to live forever. Like,
I'm playing devil's advocate again, but
so why would? What do you think the reasons are, Mr. Ritter? Why
to live forever?
Ray Kurzweil of Google and other people want to live forever? Like, what's going on? Because at the end of the day, even if they upload their consciousness to a computer, isn't that dangerous? Like, what if you get trapped into purgatory? Do they never consider this?
What if I defrag my computer and half of your brain is stuck on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if you create your own prison through this? That would be the ultimate gag that the universe could pull on a human trying to live forever.
Fuck you.
You create your own prison and you're stuck in a purgatory.
Well, what? That's like the not the last card of living forever's uploading your consciousness, but
It's one of the expected routes.
Yeah, definitely. But physically, as a human on Earth, why would you not want to? The people that want to live forever, most of them, we'll say the people behind the research for trying to live forever want to learn something every day. They want to keep learning. So there's that they're driven to keep trying to figure out why the body breaks down and how they can fix it most of the time.
But once again, they're trying to separate themselves from everything that they are at a fundamental level.
And
they are it. And when I mean by it, I mean everything, the universe.
That's what humans do.
And it's baffling to me because, like I said, if consciousness is at a different, like if we're just in a hardware right now, the body is a shell, it's a hardware component that we move through, and our consciousness is uploaded or downloaded through some type of computer program that the universe is running. Wouldn't you be creating, once again, a purgatory for yourself if you trapped yourself in this third dimension?
Well, that's again.
Did they not think about that? Like, what if they're deceiving themselves?
Well, okay, so they can be deceiving themselves, but guess what? They want to do this. This is virtual reality too.
And the argument for them against me would be, you're deceiving yourself, because if there's nothing after this, then the joke's on you. So at the end of the day, we don't know, but at a gut level, since from what I can tell, I had no control over entering this dimension and being who I am and all of that. Genetically, it was programmed, and it was billions of years in the making, and I'm experiencing the pinnacle of all of that. And it seems really selfish to think that I should live forever, because I'm just a tiny working part of whatever the hell put me here.
Well, maybe we do live forever, and maybe it's not necessarily the conscious living, or maybe our consciousness does go on forever. Who knows? Maybe when we die, they say to bury you or burn you to release your energy back into the world, or the Mother Gaia, or the universe, depending on how deep you want to get there. So maybe we do. Maybe we do live forever, Mr. Hawkins.
Right. And that's the struggle, and also the deception.
Nobody wants to die.
Of course, it's the fear.
Yep. Are you scared of death?
Yes and no. I think every human that says they're not scared of death, I bet you some people are completely not afraid of death, but I still am afraid of death, because like you were saying, the people who want to live forever want to learn things. Yes. And even if I can never know ultimately what we are and what this whole world and universe is all about, I'm still a little afraid of death, because in the back of my mind, and I think this is for 90% of the humans here on this planet, except for a few who have trained themselves to break their ego and overcome the fear of mortality, it's hard to accept that. How do I put it? Sometimes when I'm laying in bed, I think about how somebody else wakes up tomorrow and they're in their 90s, let's say. Mm-hmm. They've lived 90 years, let's say. To them, if you really think about the big picture and the scale of just the world and how organisms are birthed and then they die, that person, their whole life was like a blink of an eye. But you never get to actually see it as a blink of an eye, thank God. Every day is kind of this drip of consciousness. But then once you get to that point, when you're finally up there at 90, I bet you your past is like a blink, man. Like, we don't think about it because we still
Isn't
have
it
time,
already?
and we hope we still have time. But what about those people who are up there? And I think about that when I'm in bed. I think, will I have these thoughts when I'm that age? And will those thoughts even matter because I've lived the life? And then it gives me this, I call it an existential shiver. The very fabric of being here and being conscious and interacting with everything. I think about how tomorrow when I wake up, I will be that old person. And I can't foresee it. I can only live and take the ride, take the journey and explore life. But one day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be that person who is on this planet and they're 90 years old and their whole life has already taken its course. And can you be afraid of death at that point, or
How
do you
about
learn to accept it?
how about we'll put this into perspective, okay? Muhammad Ali just died.
Did he die? I heard he was in the hospital.
Yeah, he just died. 1942 to 2016.
Wow.
Muhammad Ali.
Is that breaking now? Or are we?
Yeah, it's very, very, maybe within the last hour, we'll say.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, what do you think he was? I mean, yeah, he had a lot of brain injuries, of course, from boxing, but if he was in his right mind when he passed, what did he think 6 weeks ago when he woke up in the morning?
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
the existential shiver.
Yeah, because it literally does make you shiver. But at the same time, if you can think about it in a more positive way, what's going to happen after that?
Well, and the best part about it is it trains you to accept things that are beyond your control. Like so many people are control freaks, man.
Yeah. And it's all around us all the time.
And they should maybe just wake up and realize that all of their little tedious tendencies,
Yeah.
really, you don't have to carry out and go on and live with that the little thoughts that you think matter.
As my dad always said, don't sweat the petty stuff. Pet the sweaty stuff.
There you go. And also to add to that, what's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I
You
think
just gotta
the
go
universe
for it.
I think the universe wants you to accept that you're immortal. And I think people who are trying to overcome it are fooling themselves. And this is just at a basic intuitive level and from my experiences. And who knows, 30 years from now, I could have a totally different opinion. But this is the thing, like we are always living the moment, and the moment is always the pinnacle of billions of years of evolution. And if you always keep that perspective and put it into context and perspective, give yourself that existential. In fact, I challenge the listeners to, instead of trying to always distract your mind from the subtle ongoing question of what the hell are we doing and who am I, embrace the black hole that lies beneath you.
Right.
Just embrace it. And I don't mean love death. I'm not trying to give you a twisted doctrine. I'm saying when that existential questioning and that existential shiver tickles your spine, why don't you just accept it and stop trying to deny the fact that you are living? And why don't you see the blessing in that you get to be alive right now?
Yeah. And
I think people just need to face fear and face death and overcome it.
that's a lot of things.
Not defeat it,
Well,
overcome it.
This is the thing that a lot of people don't want to do anymore, is they don't want to face a fear. They don't want to face anything that can go wrong, because they've been taught that if something can go wrong, it will, right?
Right.
And no matter how big their ego is, a lot of the times they'll still quit. They'll still give up because they think that something will go wrong, or they think that it's so good now, what's going to happen? And
right. And
I've definitely been in this position, but you have to realize you aim for the fucking fences. You just keep going.
and people like to hang on, going back to like what we were talking about, creatures of habit. People want to hang on to a good thing.
Right.
And instead of, in fact, if I can, you know where a lot of our problems kind of come from? When people are set in a pattern, and instead of realizing and facing the fact that what they were doing was backwards or wrong, they want to hang on to that good thing, and then they take away from the future. You see what I mean?
Right.
For instance, if driving a gas, and I'm not going to talk about global warming or anything, but I'm saying
they're holding on to something, therefore they're also holding back.
yes. Actually, that just sums it up. I'm not even going to get into it now. That's perfect.
I mean, that I kind of think that I understand it.
It's just the individual holding back the collective progress because they want to hold on to a good thing because it makes them feel good. But the universe doesn't care about them. It cares about the bigger picture. Like, that's the whole point of evolution. The species.
About the goings on, basically. Yeah, I get it.
100. It's amazing when celebrities pass away. Like, they're always just kind of blurbs on the newsreel. And isn't it funny too how often people are actually reminded of their finite lives, but yet we kind of live in this magical world where everybody is denying it.
Yeah, you want to deny it. You want to pretend like it's not there.
What did Mr. Todd Snyder say? Overwhelmed by something, distraction took its place, and so we became the human race. I mean, isn't that just that is?
Mr. Todd Snyder's a badass.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love philosophical blues / grunge / folk singer.
That was another plug for you, sir.
Right, Mr. Snyder. If you're listening, you're welcome to join us in Auditory Osmosis and give us some of your opinions. But yeah, hopefully some of the listeners are getting a kick out of the dialogue here.
So,
do you want to continue on with the heavy stuff, or should we move on to a lighter area?
Let's go light. Let's go lighter.
Let's go light, man.
Less heavy. I really have a steak that I want to eat too, so.
We'll go nice. What kind of steak?
It's a New York strip. I did some veggies tonight, some mashed potatoes, and some roasted mushrooms. Pretty good.
No, that sounds pretty good. Well, how you want to wrap up the podcast in the next like 10 minutes? What should we do for a closing topic here? I feel like we dropped a lot of heavy existential.
There was a lot of random thoughts, but I guess they all kind of sort of tied together.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we're always trying to be. We're at the cusp of trying to find out what auditory osmosis is all about. And in that process of trying to define ourselves, we're also stuck with the problem of everyday what's around us.
We're pushing. Yeah, we're pushing for
right.
Let's just say life is something definitely like, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Life is something that we should all embrace, not just look
I can't believe he actually passed away.
Well, none of us are gods, right? And you think if we had the cure to life right now, he would probably be taking that shit. So, but everybody has to pass, everybody's consciousness moves on. Maybe now, if we want to, we can embrace some of that Muhammad Ali-isms, the strength, the showmanship, or the not even showmanship, the
just being a classy human being.
Well, at the same time, he wasn't, but it was all a front. It was all a show. It was a mind game. It was to manipulate and try to get his way.
Yeah, but was it not also to inspire and entertain?
Absolutely. But that's the best thing, is because he thought everything out. There was, for everything he ever did, there was a reason for it.
Well, and once in a while, you have to do a little conspiring to inspire.
And he was probably he literally was the best one at it, for fighting, for boxing, for
And he became a poster boy, you know,
oh, absolutely.
for so many young kids, and disenfranchised during the civil rights movement and everything,
Hmm.
and post civil rights movement. He just was. I like to focus in on his positive qualities. I think he provided a lot of positive qualities for this planet.
Absolutely.
Um, and also, I wanted to ask you before we close out, what was certain stars going to be visible in the sky? We were talking about people should look up more. Um, what star is going to be bright during the month of June?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't caught up on my astrology lately. Is that what it is? Astronomy?
Astronomy.
Not astrology, which is the Pisces, Gemini, Cancer, Chinese, blah blah blah. Anyway,
Well, here the Boston Globe says Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn dance in the June sky.
um, Jupiter's very cool. So yeah, you could definitely see Jupiter a lot in the spring, summer, like midsummer up to midsummer, I think. Actually, the first star visible in the northern hemisphere in the sky every night is actually Venus. So Venus is the first thing most people see every night, and they think it's a star. Mars has been in the sky for about, well, you've been able to see it really well, since, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. But
You know, next show we should do a little research and get like a little chart on the best time during the night and the dates to align with these stars, so we can
yeah,
give our listeners
or
like
planets.
time and date when they can see these planets. And
Right.
maybe if you have a telescope, upload some of your photos and we'll share them.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I saw Jupiter the first time, and my buddies, it was a long time ago, but it was, you could always look at the moon in these regular telescopes, and you kind of think, like, wow, the thing's just floating there in space.
Right. And
But then,
Jupiter is really interesting because
well,
it's just this giant gas.
how many moons? 21? Am I wrong? I think it's 21 moons or something crazy like that. But I could be way off. But you just, when you look at it, you see this huge orb of like rusty white. It's rust and white. But then the craziest thing is you see all the different moons around it. So it looks like a little mini solar system when you see it. It's crazy. It's such a crazy thing to see planets just floating in space.
Did I ever tell you, because 2001 A Space Odyssey was based off of Arthur C. Clarke's novel, 2001? Well, the lesser known version is 2010, An Odyssey.
Okay.
And in that book, I believe it's 2010 by Arthur C. Clarke, he talked about igniting Jupiter, and it was going to be our second sun.
Okay.
And it would illuminate the earth, and we would abolish the night. It's just a little thought about Jupiter, how you got this giant mass of gas, and apparently in certain scientific circles, NASA, and when rocketry was taking off, they wanted to test out launching a nuclear device into Jupiter to ignite it, and it would sustain life if the sun ever went out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right. So yeah, 2010, A Space, like the lesser known version, because everybody knows about 2001. So check that out. And one other movie I'd like to, well, we were talking about books there, but it did become a film by Stanley Kubrick. A movie I'd like to plug here since we were talking about immortality, evolution. Really heavy film, so it's not for the faint of heart, but it's a fantastic film, and it touches on all these little conversation pieces we discussed today. It's called Hard to Be a God, and it was originally released in Russia. I believe it was on Netflix for about a year. Maybe it might still be on there. But it's a very, very, very interesting film. It took the last years of this director's life to release. In fact, I believe his son finished it for him, and it's based off a novel. Many good movies are always based off of novels. But the premise is scientists are sent to a planet that is the equivalent to Earth, but they're stuck in the medieval time period. And they can't progress through their evolution because they're trapped in the medieval feudal system. And these scientists that come from our planet discover these people, but we can't help them because that's against the protocols of when you discover a different... and they look just like us. It's basically us in a parallel time. And these intellectuals and scientists have to observe the destruction of a civilization that can't break through the medieval time.
Right.
And they're stuck in this backwards mindset. And it's commentary on basically what was happening, the reason why they couldn't break through the medieval technology and the medieval era of thought and reach the Enlightenment or the Renaissance is because they were burning and killing all of their intellectuals and their scientists.
Right.
Based off of fear.
It's Idiocracy.
Right. So great film for someone to check it out, but I'm warning you, it's rich with gravitas, and it's
gravitas for sure.
You can't sit down. Like, I had to watch it in bits and parts because it's so heavy, but it's an excellent film if you have the stomach for it. Hard to Be a God.
Hard to Be a God.
So, Mr. Ritter, any closing bits before you devour that delicious strip of steak?
Strip of New York. So I got a bunch of New York strippers coming in tonight.
New York strippers while you eat your New York strip steak.
Again, I'm going hard on Uriah Faber. And my boy, Brian TCD Ortega, is going to take out Clay Guido, probably with a triangle choke. Well, that's exactly one of the reasons they call him TCD.
Which day are the fights now for the listeners?
Tomorrow night, which would be Saturday, the 4th. It's going to be great. It's going to be good fights. It is pay-per-view. It's UFC 199. Get ready.
Now will like Buffalo Wild Wings and different sports bars be airing it if it's pay-per-view?
Buffalo Wild Wings always does the fights. We'll say even if it's Fox Sports or I think it is Fox Sports or Fox Weird Sports. I don't know. They have that weird channel, FS1, and then pay-per-views. They always have them.
Well,
That's where I like to go.
Sounds like I was going to say, if you don't want to spend the money, go hit up your sports bar, go out with a few good friends, have a few drinks, maybe order some good food, and just enjoy yourself this weekend.
Don't forget to fucking tip your server or bartender, though.
Yeah, that's right. And remember, food is not magic.
Nope. It doesn't just happen. You got to do that shit. It's not the Jetsons. We can't just push a button and it appears out of nowhere in 7 seconds.
Yeah, the molecular gastronomy 3D printer.
Ooh, I can't wait. They can do chocolate right now.
I would love to have some chocolate from my 3D printer.
All right, man. We're getting out of here.
We're leaving the studio.
Have a good evening. I'm going to head home. I'm going to do absolutely nothing because I'm going right to bed.
But at the same time, everything.
Which would be opening my
that
mind.
Is what life is.
Everything and nothing and nothing and everything at the same
time. The paradox, the dichotomy, the duality of nature. This is Ether Hawkins and Mr. Ritter signing off.
Good night.